Welcome to Oxygen Not Included Basic Builds. My name is Nilaus, and this tutorial will show you how to turn your metal refinery into power. So this is a bit of a complicated build, and the design here will go into three sections. First, I will show you how it works, looking at this operational version. Then I'm going to zoom back in time, show how it's built in a base, not just in creative mode. And then the third part, where we will be hooking it up and actually seeing how it transitions from just a construction state to a functional state, because there's a transition there. So without further ado, let's dive into it. So the essence of this, there's a lot of things to take in. One thing is that the metal refinery here is producing an awful lot of heat. And that heat is transmitted into a liquid. So the liquid goes in. And this is getting really complicated to look at, but it comes in here at, in this case, it comes in, there we go. We have 800 at 193 degrees, and then it gets heated up. The amount it gets heated up is dependent on what process you're making, and also the heat capacity of the individual material. I'm using petroleum because petroleum has a very wide temperature range, so it doesn't transition to solids or to liquids, solids, or to, sorry, doesn't transition to solids or not, or gases easily. You don't want it to suddenly transition to gas and break the whole setup while we're doing this. So it this is why I'm using petroleum. Other things could probably be used. This design here is sort of early game. The only thing that necessarily has to be steel is this gas pump, because it's in the hot area. So we have a hot area here where we pump in the very hot coming out of the metal refinery, coming out here 320 degrees, goes in here, immediately heats up the steam, and thereby this is radiant pipes coming out here at a markedly lower temperature, 160 degrees. So that goes in, goes up into a storage tank, and continues the loop. So that just keeps going. The heat in here is being put into the steam turbines. The temperature here is 138, 140. Yeah. So if this one runs more, the temperature goes up. It can consume a lot, and it will not. I have not at least seen any cases where it actually gets too hot or too cold, because whatever temperature it goes up to, it will be consumed. It will just produce a bit more heat, but it's unlikely, or it will not go above. Oh, that sucks. Sucks that I don't have lime. Let's kick off the lime production. I think I should just set that up to run constantly. Yeah, there, lime, fossil to lime. Forever. Good. Sorry. And switch this over to iron instead. Boom. We just want something being done so we can see it running. All right. Yeah, so this one will gradually go down as there is nothing new that gets put in here. So what happens is, up here, it condensates and comes out as 95-degree hot water, goes down. Now this one will heat up unless you have a cooling loop. So that's why you will see on this overlay that I have a cooling loop going through here, because this is also getting kind of hot, and then goes in and cools that area before going back into the loop. So this is radiant pipe, and radiant pipe, the rest is insulated pipe. Now the last thing we do is we need to be able to. This one is not needed at this point, because we're not going to be pumping anything out. If we do, then bad stuff happens. But what it is absolutely... Yeah, okay, this is just morning lag. What is incredibly important is that you need to be able to make a vacuum in here before you turn it into steam, which is why it's so important for me to show you how to actually build it. And I think that's the transition we want to go to now. I should also explain the role of this one. If we look at the temperature here, these heavy watt wires get really hot. And I don't want this heat here, this 132 degrees, to leak into the base through the heavy joint plates. And to prevent that, I have a complete vacuum in here. The reason you're seeing the overlays is because I have a mod called gas overlay that makes it a bit more easy to distinguish if the pressure is high or low. So these are just working. They're working fine, producing lots of hot material. And it's actually not that hot when it just produces steam. Ah, okay, 200 degrees, that's fine. it should be keeping up. The fact that when it makes both steel and iron, it makes it flow better. Okay, so let's jump back in time into the time where I want to craft this, just to see how it's going to look. And here we are back in time with the setup ready to build. We don't have anything built, so let's dive in and figure out how to build it. So I feel that when making the choices for how to build things, you also go through a lot of motions that will not be evident necessarily, like I'm going to select iron instead of steel for the steam turbines, because you don't really need it. These cannot overheat because they will stop working at 100 degrees, so you can just as well make it out of iron. The one thing we do need to make out of steel is the gas pump. That's going to be here. I don't think there's any way around this fact, so if you don't have any, get some. Very simple. And this is pretty much how it's done. And let's build one thing at a time and just try to explain what's going on. So these ones, this is the 95-degree hot water coming out of the steam engine that needs to go back into our chamber. And I'm going to make this just to make sure that we can do it. And then I will do some of the other things. Let's see, where is that? The joint plates, again, we don't care what it's going to be made out of. Let's just take iron, just because. So this chamber, it doesn't actually need to be completely closed off, because in my setup, I don't run it hot, so it really shouldn't be a big deal. These ones are going to be here. I'm going to take this two out, and now it's probably a good idea to start building things so we can get on with the builds. This one's a bit tricky because once I build that, they have to go around it, which is kind of annoying. So let's build that one first. This one will also have a gas pump in. Doesn't need to be steel, just build it out of whatever you have available. And let's build the insulated wires. I could build it out of ceramic, but since that's a later thing, I don't think that's a good idea. I'm going to do that one. There. And it doesn't need to be a high pressure vent, but I think I'll do that in this case, because no, let's not build it at a high pressure vent, because it should just be as close to real as possible. Now it's very important that I build this part in here first, because that's not gonna work otherwise. Yeah. So these ones are built, and let's do that. Let's try to build this. There we go. Because once this is built, I can start building things on top of it or below it, so we can close off this area. Let's get the refinery. That's kind of one of the important parts of this build. There we go, metal refinery. Does it rotate? No, it does not rotate. This is as close to the location we can build it. Heavy watt wire, drag. Oh, did I build it? I built out igneous rock, so not a problem. I thought it might be built out of steel or something. And I'm going to fire this one up to the main network, because this will not be power positive immediately, but it will over time become power positive. This one is going to always work, so that is pretty simple. I will lock this area off, because then they can start moving around it. There. Then we're going to start. So that's the electricity is now sorted here. Yes. Then we need to work on some water coming in. This water has to go into these locations. The reason why it has to go in here is because I need to be able to fill this up. Oh, yeah. Some of the things that is actually missing. We're doing Atmos sensor. Doesn't matter what it's built out of. And I want to do that one because I want to control exactly when this one is operational, because this is now starting to try to make a vacuum. That's not going to work. Let's do the cooling loop inside of or heating loop in this case. This again doesn't really matter what you build it out of, because it's not going to run hot. I'm going to go this way. This is basically just getting as much surface area as possible here. And yes, it's expensive, but ooh, that's just that's life. Life is expensive. That one goes in. This is important. You can see this one is radiant. This one is here. So that's how I do that. And now this one has to be... let's see if I can remember this. We're definitely going to get that one up here. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, this is morning lag. It just happens. I believe I did not have a picture of the piping here. That's all right. We can deduce it, can we? So the pipe overlay. This one's going to be the cooling pipe. That one's where it goes in. So I want this is the outbound. That's going to be as simple as possible. This one just goes like that. And then we connect it here. So this is going to be the cooling loop. Insulated wire, insulated piping outside and radiant pipe inside. That means we can now do this one, which should be then getting some cooling. This one is the cooling. That's not necessarily cooling. Connect, connect. And it bridges across here. And I want it to go here, bridge across. This is the cooling loop. And what am I using? This is insulated pipe. That would be really silly to use insulated pipe in here. And heat bridge. And some insulated tiles, because now we're done. That one. Okay, so this one's done. The one thing we're missing is a liquid shutoff here. I want to build that right there. And then we just get any kind of sensor to indicate that we want to turn it off, on and off. And I'll just use a clock sensor. You can use whatever you feel like. But I just need to make sure that it can be operated from here. Because that will be me controlling how much water goes in. And that one goes in here. So now what do we have? We do not have the input of the petroleum getting into this, but we can do that. We can do that here. That'll go into the input, so it won't flow back. It'll go only into that up there. And that should be all of that. So let's get them active on building it as fast as possible. So once that's done, someone really should stop this one. It's 0. Below 0. There we go. And I'm going to close it off. So let's review. Power network coming in. Heating here, all of it on the same network. That one is kind of ironic. Then you can either take it from somewhere else or you can do this. Just needs a bit of power. And as this one goes, then I'm going to close this off. And I'm going to close this one off as well. We're just going to make it slightly low priority. So don't want to get them too much stuck in there. Let's have a look at the water overlay. Looks really complicated. And this warning is just the bridge doesn't have any input. That's again the morning lag. Let's get beyond this. And we can start this. I want forever. Waiting for material, waiting for coolant. I don't know if that's gonna work. There. So as soon as this one is built, then I can close this off. See, they are going out. I think we'll just close these off as well. It's most important to get this one done, because once this is done, then I can... Okay, you're an idiot. Can't click it. What did I choose? I chose a hydrosensor. How did I choose a hydrosensor? That's just not working. Above 1,000,000. Okay, I should have chosen a time sensor. Whoops. The good thing is we actually now have some water in there. And let's close it off, because now it is closed off. The reason this one is good is because then I can actually use it. This one can also be closed off. There's nothing in there. The fact that this one has something and the other one does not. Power is connected, because once we close it off, it's just not going to be as simple. This is closed off. You have no reason to get in there. I'm going to remove some of this water. Well, the thing is, we wanted the water in there, but we don't want the water in there until we have made this a vacuum. It's actually okay to make it, to put a bit of water in. Let's figure out how much water we have. We have 20 kilos of water in each. I'd like to have a bit more. Not a lot more, but just a bit. This is why I control it like this. And then we close it. Each of these is 10 kilos of water. Okay, that's going to be very high pressure in here. This one is missing coolant, so we can, while this is making it, we can input the coolant. That's again done from this one. So we put it in, and then we are just seeing here, this one should be, okay, it has all the things that it needs, and it starts filling up. This will actually start working as soon as it gets there. And that's actually not great. I want to disable that building right now, because I don't want it to be built, because then they will start producing heat, and that could make this turn into steam before I've actually made a vacuum. What happens then is you can have the steam being at the bottom, and then a thin layer on top here with another gas that then blocks the steam engines from absorbing the steam. So it's very important that this one is completely empty. And it's small amounts, but it has to be completely empty. In the meantime, let's have a look at this one. How much is going into here? We have 800 grams of petroleum, and we're getting more, so I think we got enough. Turn it off. And we're starting to fill up. So the more you put in, the more sort of buffer you have in the system. And that means sort of when it flows back, it needs to heat up all of the residuals, or it kind of slows down the responsiveness. So it more slowly goes up in temperature and more slowly goes down in temperature, which can be beneficial in some points. So this is how it is done. One of the things that I want to do as well, now that I just realized it, it's kind of a shame to do that, there, is we actually want some liquid in here. It could be any liquid though, but I'm going to do that. Bad thing is that it's actually, now that's dripped in there, and I didn't want any material in there. So we want to drop something in there so that our cooling loop down there has something to work with. We are going to use ethanol, because ethanol can evaporate, and then it'll just fill the whole room, which is nice. So, actually you could also, it will use ethanol because that's kind of what you do. Enable auto bottling. Let's get just a bit of ethanol in there. And this one's done. Okay, so this one now has to be below 0. So that should never be activated. This is now a complete vacuum, and we are now ready. Okay, so how much did we put in here? We just put, that's like 200 kilos that was put in. If I can get one more, then I'm going to be happy. Wait for it. Let's have a look. This one should be high priority. Always. Coordinate is inbound. So once that's done, we can lock it off. There we go. And that one goes here. This one can be deconstructed, and boom. This should be done. This one is, and then we are transitioning into what we can call the third part. We have the cooling loop is operational. This is nice and cold, all of it. Nothing really warm. This is just because of the temperature of the pipes. We have a cool vacuum here, and they're stuck. We have all the water we need. We have all the things we need. Now only need is just enable it. Enable building. And once that happens, we are going to monitor how this is getting on. And I'm just marking everything with priority 9 just so we can get a bit faster. And immediately start working. We're going to look at the content of GFS. Nope, not the content of that. I will look at the content here. So we get the 65 degrees, and as it happens, boom, we get a lot of hot stuff coming in. It was like 200 degrees. Let's zoom over here. Comes in at 200 degrees, and it will start heating. It doesn't necessarily make it into steam immediately. Oh, it does. That goes really quickly into steam because it's pretty hot. And this idiot is... You really should not working when it's below 0. It's set to below 0. So you can't set it to above because this could get really, really high. But from now on, it will never be below. You have 8 kilos here. And they will start working. As the temperature increases, it needs to go a bit higher. We could let in a bit more water if we like. And that one, just let in a bit more water so we get higher pressure. There. And that's the brilliant thing about it. You can control it without doing... What is the problem here? Insulated gas pipe. That's because I was an idiot and pumped out a tiny bit of steam. Pretty important. Pretty damn important. So we should get more, and hopefully this one... Yeah, you can see how much it just pushes forward. Boom. All of it gets converted into steam, and this is now working on heating up the steam. In the beginning, you will use a lot of heat to warm it up, but as this increases in temperature... Also, the return stuff, if you look at this one, oh, it doesn't have anything. Well, it's still... The part that comes in is now 120 and 130 degrees. So the stuff that comes out is going to be hotter. And you can see already that it's starting to produce a bit better. The one thing that one is just annoying the hell out of me. But if you look at temperature, this is nice and cold, kept cold by... this, so we could actually easily go in and repair this if I wanted to. Doesn't hurt at all. And that one can go in. And then these ones get repaired. Risky business, risky business. That one. Because this one is still a vacuum. That's also really important to see. So this one is using 1200 watts of power all the time. Well, only when it's working. None of the other things are working. These can produce 850 each. They're not going to be fully operational. That's just the way it is. We should probably have taken that one. And build. But let's see. This one's producing 500. This one's producing, let's say, 500. So it produces 1000. And this one is not necessarily working. For example, now it's not using anything, and then it starts up again. So I'm going to venture the guess that it is very, very close to balanced, and probably also a net positive, because even if you stop it, it's going to continue run for a while. That's why it has to be hooked up to the heavy watt wire to the rest of your power network. And there you have it, fully operational. Relatively easy to build. I did a showcase for the educational values, some of the mistakes. Yes, that's how I did it. By accidentally pumping some water in too early, and also accidentally pumping some steam out, and the result of it. But I mean, as you can say, it's easy to see, it's easy to fix, and it runs really smoothly. 600 and 600. So now it is net positive, and this one is not even using the power all the time. There you have it. Your steel production is now also a steel and power production at the cost of a bit of cooling, which I don't really feel is a problem in this game anymore. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you are enjoying the series, and I hope you will check back on more of these basic builds. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comment section below. And I hope you like it, so please do remember that if you do. Until next time, as always, stay effective.